Much like most days, today's topic's going to be off the cuff. You're probably not going to come into this knowing anything about what I'm talking about. And I mean anything. Because this movie I just saw for the first time. I'm a cinephile, and I didn't even know this movie existed. um, so it's probably going to be something that you guys have never seen. You're probably going to be wondering what I'm so worked up about. Uh, I I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions. So, fuck it, let's get into it. Um, so this movie named The Fanatic came out in 2019, I think, without having to look it back up or anything like that. Um, it starred John Travolta. It had Devon Sawa. For those of you that remember him from like things like Idle Hands and Final Destination. Um, and forgive me, but I cannot remember the girl's name for the life of me, even though I've seen her in a lot, actually. Uh, she's a bit younger, so she's more my daughter's generation. And that's usually, if I see a young actor or actress like that, that's usually where I would know them from. Like, oh, you used to be in this that my daughter used to watch or my son used to watch, stuff like that. But anyways, Dustin, stay on target. Uh, I have a lot of questions for the overall writer, director, producer of this movie. Specifically, it was Fred Durst, and it was supposedly based on an encounter that he had with a stalker. So that in and of itself already makes me question, after watching the movie, what his interpretation was. Because in the movie, if you guys have not seen it, in The Fanatic, John Travolta plays a person who is supposed to be on the spectrum. They deliberately use the words neurodivergent, even though you could probably use harsher slang for it. I'm allowed to. I'm not going to, but I'm allowed to. Um, and this movie paints him as a fanatic of this particular actor that Devon Sawa plays. Now, my first issue with the movie is, whose point of view is this movie from? Is this actually from Travolta's point of view? Is the mentally disabled person supposed to be the protagonist? Because if it is, in a way, it is very well done, and in a way, it is extremely insulting to somebody who has that deficiency. Extremely insulting. This movie is literally two different movies in one. If you wanted to make a movie about the struggles of what someone like that goes through in their life and how normal people actually treat them, how they are very just unapologetically do not give a fuck about the person's disability. It's just how they inconvenience them. If you wanted to make a movie like that, all for it. I see the movie in The Abomination that I watched, and it would have been a beautiful, raw piece of material to put out there. But overall, it leaves you questioning, whose point of view is this even from? Is this from the mentally disabled person's side of things? Because if it is, I think you fucked it up bad. If it's from the actor's point of view toward the fanatic, I think it is a very poor choice to choose to portray somebody who is mentally disabled and paint them in the light of a fanatic. Now, don't get me wrong. I know things like that can happen, especially with mental deficiency. I understand that. I fully understand that. Do not paint me as like some flag waving motherfucker right now. No, this is legitimate criticism. I think if you're trying to do a movie about a stalker, if you're trying to do a movie about a fan that takes it too far, stay away from the mentally disabled, because I really don't know what you're trying to say with this particular piece of media, Fred. I really don't. Are you saying that everybody who is a fanatic has a mental disorder like that? Is that how you truly look at people who were born like that? Where's the empathy and understanding that this person is no more than 10 years old mentally? You see none of that in the movie. Everybody literally talks to Travolta in this movie, ladies and gentlemen, like they're talking to a person who has normal intelligence. They are not acknowledging the disability. They are not compensating for it. They are literally being narcissistical figures and not acknowledging, not acquiescing, not understanding that this person clearly has problems and they do not comprehend cognitively the way that you or I would. That, again, don't paint me as a flag waver, because it is very, very hard to buy into it when there is no point of view going on at all throughout the movie. None. Zero. In one scene, it might paint you, point you, it might put you on the side of Travolta, and you can really feel that, you should feel his point of view at that point. And in another one, it puts it in the position of the actor, like you should be in his point of view. But at the same time, like, you have trophies around the house deliberately in the movie showing that you've been doing this for a while, since at least 92. I noticed that. So if you've been in the limelight this long, I'm sure you've come up against mentally disabled people before. Is this always how you treat them? Fred, is this your way of dealing with things? Do you see why this, like, and if you have not seen it, go watch it for yourself. You will see exactly what I'm talking about. They talk to him like he has normal comprehension. And then they get mad at him and scold him when he doesn't understand. That says more about the other character than it does about your protagonist, if it is about Travolta's character. It's really like it's meant to enrage you, but without the clear guided lines of, this is your point of view, character, this is not. It's really, you lack way too much. You lack, not you have nuance. You're lacking so much nuance in this movie that if you're going to try to pull up, hi guys, if you're going to try to pull off something like this, you better have a lot of nuance layered in your fucking movie. And this had, at the end of the day, because of the way that the movie plays out at the end, again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I mean, I guess you could probably watch the trailer and get where it's going. But without a nuance to everything, unless you're explaining exactly why these people are talking to a disabled person like he's normal, when it is visually stunningly obvious he is not. There's only two other characters in the movie that actually address this and treat him the way he should be treated. It's preposterous. Now, I have not read any statements he's made about making this. I have not read anything. I'm going into this completely blind, completely not knowing what his meaning was, but just on the basis of the movie itself, it leaves a lot of questions, both in his own personal worldview and how he sees people like that, and if he's going to paint that broad brush, or if he has some kind of nuance to him. Because this movie in and of itself, by itself, does not paint a particularly good picture of the man. And like I said, this is like two different movies in one. You could have made a gorgeous, a deep, nuanced look at somebody who is mentally disabled and the things that they go through in their life and what it does to them, what it costs them. But you decide to take a mentally disabled person as a character and paint him with the brush of being a fanatic. Well, I can just, off the top of my head, without, even if I hadn't even seen the movie, I can list at least 5 different reasons why, yeah, I could see that happen, but I could also list 5 different reasons why that's extremely fucked up. That's low-hanging fruit. Yeah, mentally disabled people can do things that are not socially acceptable, that are downright evil sometimes, you might say. But to treat them like they are inherently the villain, like they should know better. If you're going to touch a subject like mental deficiency, neurodivergence, whatever you want to call it, you have to have nuance to it. You have to have deep, profound explanations as to how that person ended up there, and no one in their lives stopped it. Now, it's more believable when it's somebody that's not on the spectrum, somebody that is of sound mind going down a fanatical path. That's not just more acceptable, it's not low-hanging fruit. Like, if anybody's called this movie exploitive, like, I fully get it. Because I was sitting there the whole movie, with the exception of those two characters, going, this guy is clearly mentally disabled. Why the fuck are you talking to him like that? Why the fuck are you yelling at him when he's not going to mentally understand why you're yelling at him? You have to talk to him like a fucking 10-year-old, like a fucking 5-year-old, like a 2-year-old. I'm sorry if that damages your precious little ego. But these are the things that need to be done if we're going to live in a civilized society. And like, really. So if the director's voice is all stalkers, all fanatics are mentally disabled, how do you view the mentally disabled? Huh, Fred? How do you view it? This is 7 years old. So I know if I've barely seen it now and I love to see everything, I know you guys are probably not even going to know what the fuck I'm talking about. But, like, it's clearly meant to make you mad. Like, it has a goal. You want to feel for this guy. But then it goes way off into left field, and then you're expected to buy into that this guy is going to become fanatical and kill people because he's obsessed with this person. It makes more sense using a normal person, because a normal person is already up to date on everything that is right and wrong, everything that is by the law. They will understand what they're doing is wrong. A mentally disabled person who is maybe mentally 10 years old is never going to understand what they're doing wrong. Never. They have no concept of personal space. They have no concept of self-sovereignty. They have no concept of what adults consider respect to be. So how can you take a mentally disabled person, I do not give a fuck what age they are, and paint them in that light and use them for that purpose? It makes me question everything about Fred Durst. It makes me question his mind state on how he views normal people. Because if you're going to take a character like that, I expect empathy. I expect fucking empathy out of you. And you can't even give that. You dance around how sad and tragic this man's life is. And like I said, there is a beautiful movie in there somewhere. Had you just done what this man goes through in his life. But to take a subject like fanaticism and stalking and take the representation of a mentally disabled, a literally mentally disabled person. This person is on the spectrum. He is mentally 10 years old. Bad form. Bad fucking form. Never meet your heroes. Right?